What's happening? So we'll see. We'll wait for Steve and Fred to jump on. I'm nursing a brush fire at the moment. What's going on? There it is. View request. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, dude?
Nothing. Nursing a fire.
Isn't that illegal in your state?
Yeah, most things are. We'll give Fred a minute.
All right. I thought I saw him pop up in there, but
oh, let's see. Did he already ask? Did I just miss it?
I don't know.
He's on here. Here we go. Counting Coup. No. Fred, you got a request, man. Let me see. So, topic tonight, shotguns. I actually asked old Chuck Haggard to jump on too. We'll see if he's around.
Nice.
This video, I got asked about more than any other video that I attempted to put up.
This is going to be bad.
Well, dude, everybody's so emotionally attached. Oh, I'm just going to set the phone down.
Oh, I know there.
Fred, where the hell are you?
He said he sent it.
Oh, it's sent. Okay, let me see.
Let's scroll back through 300 of them right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Oh, man.
Okay. Dude, I don't see it. What the?
Just request them.
Oh, see about that. There we go. Accept. Oh, and old Jason Parizo, one of my buddies here with, let's see if Pizzo wants to jump on.
Never.
Yo.
What's up, Fred?
Scatterguns, pirates, and blunderbusses and all kinds of shit. Let's do it.
Doors and birds and all kinds of silliness.
So, Fred, I know you get asked about this too, about the relevance and application of scatterguns in the modern world.
Yeah, I mean, it is really a unique and very interesting weapon system. And probably, you know, it's easy to say it's one of the most devastating. Hell, you know, the Germans fucking outlawed it. But you know, technology just keeps going. It keeps improving. And funny enough, someone sent me a video today from, I guess it was a podcast, that the Bin Laden slayer himself said that he approves of shotguns. Like, specifically, he was like, I use a shotgun for home defense. And he said, like, we're the top killers in the world. We do it all the time. But if I heard a guy racking a shotgun in the house, I would leave. And he knows. I mean, he has to know. He has to. I've only met him twice, but he has to know that is just not true. Maybe he's trying to bring Remington back or something. I don't know, but.
So, I mean, Steve, so you teach this more than Fred and I do, and probably have more time on a scattergun than most people. And so what Fred and I have talked about this is the amount of training that's required to fully utilize that weapon and and make it as easy to use as modern carbines, PCCs, mag-fed weapon systems.
So the take on it is this, right? Like a lot of things, what is the role? Right? What is the role? What are the parameters? It's pretty much that easy, right? When we start getting into it. If you give me or most other good shotgun instructors a day, we'll make people proficient. right? Where they're not dangerous, where they're sufficient to use the gun. But what is the role of the gun, right? That's the biggest one for a lot of people, right? Like birds, doors, and pirate stuff, right? I mean, I grew up with an 870 in my hand, right? I'm a Midwest kid, growing up shooting ducks and geese and pheasants and deer and all that kind of stuff with a shotgun. For me, it's easy to say, right? It's second nature. I think the biggest problem that we run into with the today's society with the shotgun is that everybody that's talking about it for the most part has spent the last 30 years in the Great War on Terror. So they've known a carbine, they've known a Glock, right? And that's great because we all have them and they're all awesome. But if you told me absolutely today that if I was going to be inside my own structure and got the gamut of toys available to me, I would choose a shotgun, right? It's not the gun that I'm going to take to do X, Y, or Z. But if it's the barricade bunker in gun, it's the gun that I'm going to grab first and foremost, right? For 7, 8 yards in the house, maybe 10 yards, 15 if you got a big place. You can't deny the lethality or the devastation of that gun, especially with a good loaded double-aught buck. You just can't, And it's not the gun that I'm going to choose to take on the ISIS horde with, right? It's not it, because that's not the role of it for me or for 90% of North America. But it's that gun that if you told me I had a choice of picking up my Glock 17 with a dot and a light or my 1301 or my Vang 870, you bet I'm going to grab the Vang, the Vang gun or the 1301 with 7 rounds of double-aught buck in it.
See, I mean, but dude, I'm grabbing an 8-inch 300 black with a light and 30 rounds.
Yeah, sure.
Where the hell is that coming from? Is that you, Fred?
Yeah, they're dropping folks tonight. There's a bunch of shit going on.
And I look at this because, having watched women shoot, and I know, Steve, you have women come out to your class and run a shotgun. I find women are intimidated by shotguns. Like, even if you spend as much time, it's not as easy to like hand it to your wife and go, hey, here is a safety, a trigger, and it has a light on it. Like, I'm going to go check out what's going on. You hold this, as it is with a modern carbine and stuff with limited time on the gun. The other thing for me is that even with patterning a shotgun, and I know you guys go over this at length, like I still feel better with low exposure, limited size shots with a carbine all day.
Okay. And when I look at it, I go, show me when the last time that's ever happened was somebody choosing to deploy that gun in their house, right? Versus one or the other. We know via all the information that we've been able to document and get that shotgun gunfights in the house, 1.5 rounds. Where they get the 1.5 from, I have no idea. Typical data BS there. But I go, when is the last time somebody's had to take quote unquote more precision-y hostage rescue, whatever you want to call it, shooting in their structure?
For me, it's just because the data doesn't necessarily mean I don't want the capacity to. Like, okay. And that's the thing. Like, people go like, well, most gunfights are only 3 to 7 rounds. So that's great. Like, and nobody leaves in the morning expecting to get in a gunfight, and nobody expects to be in an active shooter situation until they are. Like, the probability of these events is small, but doesn't mean I don't want the capability to handle as many problems as I can.
And that's going back to the role of it. So what is the role of the gun for somebody, right? It's not my truck gun. It's not my whatever gun. It's generally my sitting in the house next to the bed gun, or next to the front door closet. Because where I live rural like you, I shoot a lot of coyotes and weird critters. Granted, there's an AR close by as well, but ultimately, man, the shotgun for me does a lot more work around the farm and the property than my rifle does, even though the rifle still is close at hand. But it's not even necessarily a choice. I think, again, I think it all comes back to identifying what the role of the gun is.
Yeah. And well, I would add that even on our side with the breaching shotguns and such, like it wasn't it wasn't like the new guy is the shotgunner, because it's most definitely very complicated. Well, it's more complicated than an AR or a 9mm handgun, whatever. It requires a lot more training than it is to just put something into a mag well and push a button. And that's not even getting into having malfunctions with it and having to take, you know, the magazine out and trying to clear that shit. Like, the new guy we get, you know, sticking in the hand, but like it was the number 1 and 2 guy, the team leader and ATL that were carrying shotguns because they were most experienced dudes. But the new guy would have, you know, number 2's pocket in his hand and would learn that thing from the very beginning on how to operate that thing, because it's for lack of a better term, it is fucking complicated as shit. So if you are dealing with a home invasion, it is the worst case scenario. I had an incident, which is kind of a funny story, but I had an incident, and this was, I was a very seasoned dude, had a lot of action at the time, and it was a feeling that I've never felt before. And I had to really overcome that and try to figure it out. So it was new to me, even having seen a lot of combat and shit. And to me, it was just too much. Like, I didn't have shotgun. I was using a handgun at the time, which seemed more relevant to me. You know, I had a decent capacity of the magazines. I had light. I had a dot. Very maneuverable inside the home. I can make precise shots if I need to, which you always need to. Because the worst case scenario is that hostage rescue thing. The worst case scenario is you don't want to shoot through fucking walls. And the worst case scenario is you go past the FBI documents of more than 9 rounds and you have to shoot 25 rounds, whatever it is. I just watched a video the other day of a security camera of this guy that was going to work at like 5 a.m. and he got held up outside his house, and they took him back to his house, and he had like 15 fucking guys that were robbing the place. Like, that's crazy. More than likely you shoot 1 or 2 of them, the rest run away, but still, that's a lot of fucking flesh for little bullets.
Oh, it's a ton.
Yeah, and I most certainly would not want to reload a shotgun in the middle of that shit.
Mm-hmm. So then we get the other side of the equation, right? And I'm not for or against one or the other, really. Like, they all have a role. I'm definitely in all those camps. Every press of the trigger I got is 8 to 14 pellets with 7 to 8 in the gun. So, you know, every time I load 1 round into that shotgun, I've just put 8 or 9. And we always hear that argument too, right? We always hear that same discussion. So yeah, I mean, capacity, but what I have over a pistol, a lot of terminal performance with a shotgun. A lot of terminal performance with it.
Oh, I'm not talking anything against the terminal performance of it. I mean, and it's a devastating gun, and you know, in a lot of roles, like Fred said, it's really
not the gun.
It's adaptable to lots of situations. Sure. Like, between slugs, you put a red dot on it, like you can, but I'm very much in the boat of Fred, like being confident that you're not going to shoot somebody and being confident that you can run that gun. Like, you can take and make anybody run a carbine in a day is not the same thing. Like,
absolutely not. Yeah.
And like you said, I think historically, you know, push us back 20 years. I think people were out more. They grew up with shotguns more. They had shot those firearms, and there was one in every house, significantly more than there was AR-15s. But I think that has kind of switched. Not necessarily, at least on what role. I think people have really taken up the carbine as kind of America's rifle, and you look at that as the total number of AR-15s in this country. Steve, you and I talked about this at length the other day, versus where it was in '94. So, like, I think culturally we've shifted a little bit, and I think the reason for that, and the reason why I think everybody kind of pushes the AR is that it's easy to shoot, it's simple, it's easy, it's not intimidating for youth, it's not intimidating for women, and it is also a very adaptable rifle in a lot of ways. I mean, it has its limitations too, but dude, I don't have a shotgun out of the safe. I've got an 11.5-inch suppressed MCX. So but I mean, again, I live rurally, and so I've got 200 yards to the bottom of my driveway.
Yeah. Same thing. You know, my front fence is 100. My driveway is 300 to the end of the drive. So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. I think what it is too, we've seen a generational shift too, right? Not just one gap or another, but it's a generational gap, right? So before, you know, the shotgun was America's gun for the longest time.
Yep.
And then, you know, it was, you know, we got into, you know, Winchester 1873 lever gun stuff. We got technology, advanced guns, advanced all that good stuff. Yeah, 100% correct. But I'd also go, this year's been an interesting case study for me with shotgun classes. A lot of people in the 65 to 75 age bracket in classes, because they've realized that the handgun isn't the tool for them anymore because of eye steadiness, whatever, yeah, totally get it. So they just said, hey man, the shotguns are coming out of the closet and that's what I'm going to do at this point. I'm like, yeah, man, cool. We'll just show you how to use the thing and make it work for you. Eyesight goes, age, abilities, they're not going to be as fast on a trigger. Maybe they want that other gun,
but they also have everyone in that household is in their room. There's typically just two of them.
Mm-hmm.
So my kid's on the other side of the house.
Right.
And so if I'm standing on one end of the hallway to the other, I'm looking at, a 25-meter shot.
Yeah.
And I definitely do not want to do that with buck. I definitely don't want to take time to switch over to a slug because, time is of the essence at that point.
Mm-hmm. Even with flight control, there's still limitations.
For sure. Yep. It absolutely is situational dependent, but I think a lot of folks kind of think that because the shotgun's so rudimentary per se, and it's old, the functionality is old technology, that they think it's just an easier thing. Like fucking Joe Biden thinks it's the fucking way to go. Yeah, maybe with like a breech gun or some shit, but like it is with pump action or even and automatics are way more complicated than they think it is. And when you're in that kind of stressful situation, man, again, been through that stuff and almost fucking killed my vacuum cleaner in that incident. But if I would have had to reload, or if I had a malfunction, it's just one more thing, one more obstacle as I'm stressed the fuck out trying to defend my family kind of shit.
Right. So do we look at that? Do we fall back on that as being, is it a training and time value kind of thing on that gun, right? Versus
I think it requires a little bit more training for sure.
It definitely, more. It definitely does a little bit. I think in a couple of in like a lot of the circumstances you're talking about, and part of that, right? I look at it, I go, okay, how many buttons and levers do we have on a carbine? Right, we got a safety selector, we got a mag release. Okay, cool. I've got a safety, and if I have a slide action, I've got an action bar release, and or a pump gun, I've got a bolt release. I'm like, okay, I'm kind of close in the same actions and controls, but again, right, familiarity. How often you use it, how often you pick it up, how often you touch it, how often you put it. And again, even outside of a Mossberg, all the other shotguns suck. And I've said this openly on many podcasts and other stuff before. The managing of those controls sucks. If you don't have like a Mossberg with a top 10 safety where your thumb just rides on it, almost like you would a selector on most anything else, man, they're stupidly placed. And they require a little bit more effort, but I think again it's that training time. And
but I like Remingtons. I like that I don't have to dump 2 rounds if I want to switch over. So yeah. I mean, Mossberg could easily fix that. I don't know why they don't, but
yeah, and I wish Remington would have done in a Mossberg safety.
Yeah.
It'd be the best gun ever.
Dude, it's so dumb. It's probably some fucking some trademark thing or some bullshit. And nobody can pass anything. Yeah, it's dumb.
It's absolutely dumb.
No, I think, Steve, I think the thing you said, which is I think the key is, I think it's the amount of time people who are dedicating to these things. I mean, it's like anything, right? It's like if you want to go to the weekend every time and play, like you call it tactical band camp or whatever, more power to you. But like, it's kind of like carrying and shooting your EDC. If you're going to put that next to your bed and that's what you're relying on when you are 2 a.m, you just woke up out of a dead sleep to defend your home and your family, like you might want to dedicate a higher percentage of time to that than once every 6, 7, 8 months that you get the old dusty bird gun out of the closet. And then the other side of things is just, I think that's one thing. And then I think just the ease of loading, and you can get down to like you said, have so many pellets per round. That's if you hit. That's if you like under stress. Like, you talk about police shootings and how I've talked with Chris and my buddy Jason about this all the time. Guys pull their gun and they keep squeezing the trigger until the gun's empty. Yeah. Like, so if you're in the middle of the night, you're not you can't manage that panic, so to speak, very well. It's like, how fast are you going to put half your magazine into the front door or the wall next to it before, you know, you've got 2 or 3 rounds left.
Yeah.
And you're standing there in your underwear, like,
no reloads.
No. I got 6 on the gun in the side saddle, man, and I got 6 in the gun.
Like I am super comfortable with Remingtons, using them for a fucking long time, and I will still cycle them so fast that I malfunction, and I'm just like, fuck. And I mean, it's not a big deal to get out, but like, you know, they're in the open, and I don't want to get those rounds down there. But I can pull, you know, my Geisley trigger on my AR as fast as I fucking want. It'll go faster than me for sure, and I won't have that problem.
No, absolute fact. And the thing that I see, like even in shotgun classes, I talk to guys about, you know, we've got this newer crop of shooters showing up with Beretta 1301s, Benelli M4s, you know, and they try to shoot it like a carbine. And I love watching them miss a C-zone steel target at 10 yards with 496 pellets of birdshot. I'm like, hey, man, you still got to aim this thing, and you can't try to run it like it's an M4.
Right.
You know, you just can't. It's not a carbine, man. You've got to own that gun, and you can't let it beat you up, and you can't let it push you around, and it does. It has recoil. I mean, that's some weird science and physics and shit, right? Mass, energy, velocity. It's all crazy talk. And
you got to go shoot some skeet.
Well, that's it, right? And that was the thing for me, right? Like I tell guys, you know, I grew up shooting trap and skeet my whole life. I grew up with a bird gun in my hand, shooting everything that flew and ran as a kid, you know, and that's just it. And that's why I go, well, it's easy in some circumstances, but I can't teach it that way to people because it's not that easy, right? They don't have 40 years being a gun like, you know, most of us do, or, you know, 40 years on that particular gun. And when trying to get people to really understand that, it's like you got to show them the visuals of it more than anything else. And you got to let them experience it. And they go, oh, yeah, it's bad, you know.
Steve, you tell a story about bed sheets?
Oh, Jesus. So, yeah, I had a guy, anyway, shotgun, doing the thing, bedroom, instead of being in a high ready mount, kind of in a lowish ready, aimed in on the door kind of deal, whatever. And as he went to rack the gun, he caught like the duvet in the slide.
Oh shit.
That was pretty sexy. I'm like, hey bro, by the time you figured out you needed a loaded gun, you were too late. You know, and everybody talks about shotguns not being drop safe. I'm like, why are you dropping it? You know, it sits in the corner between the bed, the nightstand, the rack, whatever. Like, why is the gun not loaded?
Like, no. What were you gonna say?
I was like, why is the gun in between you and the old lady in the bed sheets?
Pretty much. That's what I'm saying. She's covered. It's like the old days with horses. You lay them down and you hide behind them. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Those poor bastards.
Exactly.
No, so I think then, you know, this was a topic everybody wanted us to cover.
Yeah.
I think the takeaways are just, you know, like you said, find what you're trying to accomplish with the gun. Identify how much training it's going to take you to feel proficient on the gun. If that is your chosen home defense gun.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I think Clint or you, like, dude, if you shoot it, you load it. Like that's a gun that you just have to dedicate some serious time to it.
Yeah. I mean, that's where like 3-gun, right? Like in 3-gun competitions, like it's won and lost with the shotgun, man. It's won and lost with the shotgun for a lot of those shooters. It's like who can load the shotgun the fastest and keep the thing up to capacity and run it really hard. And, you know, guys get into the whole ballistics thing about this with like wall board and in houses and over penetration and that. I'm like, yeah, man, everything we pick up is going to penetrate walls. It's how much energy is still left over once it gets through the wall, right? Yeah. What is the payload like? What are you shooting? Like I've shot enough interior structure walls and exterior walls of these things to go, yeah, like they all blow through walls, man. Everything. I don't care if it's a pistol, a rifle, a carbine, shotgun, whatever, but what dissipates the energy the fastest, cutting down on the odds, you know, once a round fully pass through. And then I get this whole thing with guys about, well, buck versus slug. I'm like, well, that's cool, but you also need to understand, again, back to some science stuff, that even with federal flight control, in bare ballistic gel, it's like 23 inches of penetration in ballistic gelatin.
That's what I was about to ask you.
And then that's ballistic gel, right? So it segues into a good story about a shooting that just happened last year ago with one of my buddies at a PD. And then you take the federal true ball slug, 1,600 feet per second, you know, the blue hulled stuff. They also have a 1,300 feet per second low recoil load. the 1,600 feet per second load penetrates less than the flight control buckshot does in bare gel, because obviously soft lead velocity hits stuff, expansion pretty immediately. And that information is even right on Federal's, law enforcement data dump sheet with all their penetration testing on ballistic gel in that. We had, what was it, a year or so ago, Indianapolis Metro shoots a dude in the party store, right in the gas station. The video's out on YouTube, 27 high definition angles of the shooting. It's awesome. I've taught that department. I know the dude who pressed the trigger. He called me that afternoon. I know his boss. His boss is a student. He's like, hey, did you hear about this? So-and-so. I said, yeah, he called me like an hour ago, man. It's all good. When the video came out, dude put the first round right here through the guy's mouth, practically with flight control at about 4 yards.
With a slug?
No, double aught with flight control.
Okay.
Yep, right here. And then the dude ate the next 4 because he was on the gun. It was time to work. And the guy was pressed up against some racks in the party store. So he figured, well, that didn't work, so I'll keep working the problem.
He should have laid down.
That's what I told him, too. I said, if the guy just would have laid down and gave up, it would have been okay. And what was funny was at 4 yards, none of the double odd rounds from that 8 pellet load penetrated the skull in the autopsy photos. They were also contained in that ballistic barrier, aka us, and there was even some porcelain left in the back of the dude's brain for the teeth. It was a pretty interesting thing to get to look at. And the video is on YouTube from Indianapolis Metro PD shooting stuff. And they show it. Everything stayed contained in the body at 4 yards, which was pretty impressive to me at that point. I was like, wow, that was pretty interesting, because you could see the white walls even behind the dude at the party store gas station. But yeah, so there's a lot of stuff in that, and there's a lot. It's just crazy because, again, I think ultimately it boils down to, again, personal selection, what you're comfortable with, what the role of the gun, what the household is like, Fred was saying, and just how good are you with the gun, and what are you going to do with it? We look at the San Diego or San Francisco PD shooting a couple years back. That was on FLIR when a dude flanks the hostage taker and brain boxes him at 4 yards of flight control with an 870. Yeah. I had that dude's partner in a class in Cali a couple years back, and he was telling me about it. It was pretty interesting to hear the full story on it. But yeah, man, I'm like, okay, well, we got the Gallagher skit going on with a shotgun, I mean.
Well, there's a guy watching on this video right now. I'm not going to call him out, but he has a shotgun shooting here up here in Pacific Northwest, and I've seen the video. It was a little breacher gun.
Nice.
I'll let him chime in if he wants to.
Yeah, it would make complete sense if I am. Goddamn, my youngest is 3, so I gotta wait a long time. When she's out of the house, it's go time. And I have an 870 in there. I fucking love the thing. I love shotguns. I fucking love them. They're so fucking fun to shoot. And it's got 7+1, and then I have a fucking 7 load up, but with two fucking slugs on there, so I can shoot out to 100 with that thing easily. But I can't risk that. I just cannot risk that with what I got. And I am rural too. I have like 7 acres all around me, so a round coming out and straying somewhere is not that big of an issue. But I still, for me, a handgun for me is what I'm doing. I've got a Glock 35 in there, light laser or light and dot, and all the fucking rounds I could ask for. And I'm gonna make shit happen with that. Very maneuverable. I can run super fast with that thing.
Portable.
Yep, very portable. Yep. An AR type thing. I'm not getting into that just yet because the old lady thinks I'm crazy if I put a plate carrier and a fucking AR right next to me. Like, what the fuck is going on? What's happening? Don't worry about it.
Normal.
Don't worry about it.
All good. It's totally normal, and that's something we talk about too in the courses. Is like, what is your plan? Who's in the house? Do you have to move to a point of domination past them to pick up a good point in the structure, or are you bunkered in here? Are you moving to get them? Hey, if you got to move and pick up little stage 5 leg clingers, hey man, a handgun is a better bet at that point. like absolutely 200% better at that point. And guys just, they don't want to think it through. Like everybody's looking for this perfect answer, and there isn't one, right? Like there's just not. And people need to realize that, I think, and look deeper at the subject of what they're going to use and why they're using it, right?
Yep. And quite honestly, like this is counterintuitive because I'm all about killing people. I really don't want to kill someone in my fucking house. I really don't want to. And so at some point I may have to go hands-on.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that might be difficult. Actually, you know, now saying that out loud, it might be difficult with a handgun because I don't have a sling with that thing, you know.
And holster problem.
Yep. So, but at least with a handgun, I can drag the body outside the fucking door or whatever. But, but no, like I truly don't. I wish not to kill anybody in my fucking house. Whether I want to, legal reasons, whatever. Mostly it's because I just don't want my kids to see that part of my life, kind of thing. I have no issue with you know,
Violence.
depleting the universe of assholes. But it's not something I want my wife and kids to see. Yep, I don't know. Maybe I'm fucking kind of like discrediting myself now. Maybe I'm gonna get the AR up. Maybe 300 blackout out here.
I hate 300 blackout. That's called a Thompson submachine gun, 45 ACP, the original 300 blackout.
Oh man, that thing is it's super impressive. Like when it was used appropriately overseas, it was pretty awesome. Super quiet. Nobody on the inside heard what was going on the outside, unless it was a miss shot and the guy starts screaming. But it was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Well, boys, it's pitch black here. I appreciate both your guys' time. If you guys didn't get what you were looking for out of this discussion, let me know. Fred and I and Steve talk regularly, like at least 4 or 5 times a week. and boys, I appreciate you, and catch you guys next time.